Hi, I'm Daniel Posney, and I'm talking to you through Shifting Perspectives. It's a Monday morning video call that we do every Monday morning for 20 minutes. And this morning's topic is about unity and sovereignty. So it seems like there's two opposing ideas here, but I'd like to see if we can bring them together actually. And I know that there's been some sort of spiritual metaphysical teachings that do a pretty good job of bringing this together, and I'll do my best. So when I needed to look up what the definitions of unity and sovereignty were, so that I could get a more clear picture of what society says it means. So unity is the state or quality of being one or united into a whole. The state or quality of being one or united into a whole. So I think about that. Is that something that we really want? Is that something that's actually can be achieved? Is that something that we're headed towards? Are we leading to a one being, one mind, united as a whole? Well, there needs to be, the way I feel about it is it needs to be a little bit pulled apart a little bit. What I understand is that we are already that. And that one being, that united whole, has needed a way to experience and to know itself. And that's why it's become this illusion of 8 billion plus beings of self, of the one. And that to me really kind of opens me up. Like, wow, that's an amazing possibility. So if I go with that, then the whole thing about coming back into one, into wholeness, is just coming back into the one. But in the meantime, we're experiencing ourselves, or God is experiencing us or itself through us. And that's another very expansive way of looking at it. But if I look at it through the eyes of 3D perspective and practicality and that kind of thing, I start thinking that maybe it's not such a great idea for everyone to be thinking and doing and acting the same. And like, I think it's the movie The Shack to really put this into real good explanation. You've got 8 billion plus people all saying what's good for them or what's good for their family is good, and what's unsafe or wrong for their family and themselves is wrong or bad. And so then you got all these different billions of people all having these different perspectives. So how can you say that one is the good way and the other is the bad way? So there's always room for interpretation there. So what can we do? Well, the way that I've found a way that helps me understand this a little bit more is if I think about the way that I am living my life, that I am a sliver of the 8 billion or so different realities. And I see the world through this sliver of perception. It's kind of like a beam of light that everywhere I look, that's what I see. But I'm never seeing the whole picture. And I'm not seeing it from any other angle, only the angle that is me, is my own perception. And what my perception includes in it is my history, my traumas, my childhood, my upbringing, the society, my perceptions, my beliefs, my emotions. All those things are wrapped up into this one perception, this sliver of view. And so how can I know what the real truth is? Just like, that old tale about the 3 or 4 people that had a different view of an elephant, and they all described it in a different way. One had the tail, one had the trunk, one had the feet. They never know the full thing. And that's the way it is with us. We never know the full, we never know a tree. And see if I can remember this saying: when a child is told what a bird is, the next time it sees a bird, it never sees a bird, it only sees its thoughts. So we never actually see a tree, we never actually know a tree. You never actually know me to my complete fullness. And from my perspective, I probably don't either. So that's my idea about unity, is that it's a great idea, but we're already there. And this idea that we should all think the same because what's good for most people is good for everyone, that's not really true. And that's kind of what we're being hit up against right now, is this idea that what is good for some people is good for the whole planet. So we're being hit with that idea. Talk more about that later. And then the other one is sovereignty. And so the definition of sovereignty is complete independence and self-government. complete independence and self-government. So that to me, sovereignty is more of a personal thing that in my mind is, it seems like a more of a personal thing. And unity, I like to think is more of a etheric or cosmic or metaphysical kind of a feeling. So we can have both at the same time. When I think about what's happening right now, there's a couple of things that are coming to my mind. And one is that you remember when you were in elementary school or junior high or high school, and you heard some commotion and you went over there and there was two kids that were getting ready to duke it out and everyone's yelling, fight, fight, fight. And I'm reminded that that's kind of what's happening right now, is that we're some idea and some force, some energy is going, fight, fight, fight. And it's like we're getting lost in the fight. We're getting lost in the people have been kind of coaxing us into this fight and to fight against each other about these ideas. And this has been happening for centuries and centuries. And here we're in it again. And wouldn't it be great if the two people, let's say it was just two people that were coaxed into fight. Maybe like I remember when I was a kid, I was in 4th or 5th grade, and this kid came up to me and he said he wanted to fight me because I had called him a name, which I didn't. And maybe someone told him that I called him a name. And so it caused this big stir. And now we've got to fight. Now we're obligated to fight because this person told him, and he's supposed to be a tough kid. And so he's got to fight me. And now everybody's into this thing, and it becomes this mass psychosis. This everybody's just kind of falling into it, and they don't even know what the whole thing is about. They're just trying to get everybody to get these guys to fight. And I feel like if we would stop in that moment and just wake up consciously and say, hold on a second. I don't really want to fight this guy. And the other guy goes, you know what? I don't really want to fight you either. And then all the people are going, wait a minute, we're waiting for this fight, But then everybody just settles down. Wait, we could go play right now. We could go love ourselves right now. Wouldn't that be a great idea? And I feel like that's kind of what we need right now, is to come out of this, the battle of all these. There's going to be something to argue about. And this is just the latest one. And it's so important, just like election fraud was important, and all the different viruses and diseases and wars and all those things were very important, but they all tended to somehow divide us. And I'd rather not be divided. So this is why I want to talk about this. So we have an opportunity for unification within humanity and sovereignty at the same time. To stay vigilant in our autonomy and self-determination, and stand peacefully, consciously, and resolutely in love and brotherhood. That can be done. And if you're looking for some reason to do that, or some permission to do that, you have that. And I know it looks very daunting when you look on the outside world. How can I stand in this resolute way for love and brotherhood when all this crap is happening out in the world? Well, that's the thing, is that all you need to do is hold it within yourself. And no, that sounds like a very pie in the sky thing. And how can I do that? And yet there it is. And yet there's the work right there. So there have been times like these that our desire for connection or community, direction, and safety has blinded us to what we are actually agreeing to. And what we are agreeing to, we would never consciously agree to. Let me say that again. There have been times like these that our desire for connection or community, direction, and safety have blinded us to what we are actually agreeing to. And what we are agreeing to, we would never consciously agree to. What I'm saying is that someone has put out this thing that says, you need to do this. And if anyone doesn't do this, then they're against you. And in order to do this, we've got to put in these measures in place. And let me be really clear. I'm talking about travel restrictions and getting an experimental thing that's still in the experimental stages, that's questionable at the very least, that then there are reports of people dying. And so even if you're on one side or the other side, you got to admit that there's things are questionable on both sides. And yet there's this drive, this push to believe this way and to set these new laws, these new there are people being beaten. There are people being suppressed. There are people being, basically caged and put into camps and stuff like that. There's stuff like that going on. So what I'm saying here is that when you agree to something, when you agree to this side of the thing, you've seen movies about this. I know you've seen movies about this whole concept. You say yes to this idea to keep you safe. And then what you're agreeing to, you didn't have any idea of what you're really agreeing to. So if you say, just keep me safe, that's all I care about, just keep me safe. That could include some things that, a person in a prison cell is if they're locked in the cell and they never go anywhere, they're pretty safe. But are they alive? Are they healthy? And they have a quality of life? All those kind of things start to come into play. So I'm trying to do my best to say bipartisan here, but there are some things going on that that we could be agreeing to that we wouldn't agree to otherwise. So not only these desires of community direction and safety and connection, but also that we were in a healing crisis. So the phrase healing crisis is maybe a new word for you if you're not used to metaphysical ideas and things. But the idea is that when I detox through doing fasting or juicing or cleansing, stuff like that, shit is going to come up or out, and my emotions are going to come up, and I'm going to maybe I'll get angry, maybe I'll get sad, and all these things, all this kind of stuck energy comes up, and it comes up too soon, too quickly, I'll have a healing crisis. And sometimes when I've had a healing crisis, it feels like the flu. And isn't that interesting? So when I've had a healing crisis, I've had some times where I've completely gone ghost white. I got to get to the bathroom. I'm, completely flu-like symptoms. And then it goes away, within like 12 hours. And I've had a few of those. And I know that people that are kind of in this realm of processing your emotions and all that those healing crises, they come in every once in a while. And it feels like we're getting sick or really shut down energetically and all that. We have no energy in our life. That could be a healing crisis. And what some people like Teal Swan says is that we as a person, as a society, as a planet, as a galaxy, we're going through this healing crisis. And if you take that into, if you combine that with like I'm going to clear myself of all, tobacco and alcohol and sugars, and you're going to do a big cleanse or something, all that stuff comes up. So if you take that to like a society or a world kind of view, that, all this stuff is kind of coming to the surface, all these unknowns that were kind of hidden are now known, the kind of the veil is being opened up and all these truths are coming out. So that's part of this healing. But oh my gosh, I didn't know that was true. Oh my gosh, I didn't know this guy was a child molester, or I don't know this person did this. And so it kind of shakes us and it rocks our boat for a little bit. So we've got to kind of heal from that. Like the world that we knew wasn't the actual world, that there were some things that were that we were blind to. So all this is happening right now. The good thing is that when we go through a healing crisis, whether health and physical wise or spiritually or humanitarian wise or humanity wise, it always ends up, we go through this big paradigm shift of what we thought life was into this new way of being. And that's what we're going through right now. So I think the one thing that really keeps me motivated in this is to realize that as it gets better and life shifts, I start to, I don't realize the shift so much. I just realize, wow, it's pretty good right now. And then I look back on my life and go, wow, that was a whole lot different than it was before. So the shift is happening right now. It's not a thing that's going to happen like a big flash or something. I don't believe. I guess it could, but we're in the shift right now. All the stuff is happening right now. So whatever position you hold, there is definitely an agreement of mixed and opposing information that is open to scrutiny. So, sometimes, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I'm definitely not for experimental DNA affecting drugs that could alter my life and my health. And there's some amazing science and research and really practical stuff that really justifies that. And then there's also some kooks. There's also some kooks out there that I just go, oh my God, don't go out there. And then there's some stuff on the other side too. There's some real practical information on why you should and all these things. And then there's some kooks out there. So there's a mix on both sides. And what I've always understood is that what we vibrate in will start to attract. So if I'm vibrating in this position, I will definitely attract more that supports that position. And for somebody that supports the other position, they will bring that in. And that's how amazing you are. That's how amazing that your attraction abilities exist. So this is something that Carl Sagan said, apparently. One of the saddest lessons of history is this: if we've been bamboozled long enough, we tend to reject any evidence of the bamboozle. We're no longer interested in finding out the truth. The bamboozle has captured us. It's simply too painful to acknowledge, even to ourselves, that we've been taken. Once you give a charlatan power over you, you almost never get it back. That's pretty powerful. So hopefully you can see that a lot of what I'm saying here can be applied on both sides of the fence and whatever we're talking about here. Without self-determination and conscious awareness, society can drift into mass psychosis and a totalitarian society. And I guess if I'm really being honest with myself, the reason why I sit in the position that I do of empowerment and truth and my own view of things that gives me the greatest feeling of excitement and freedom is because maybe I have a fear of powerlessness. Maybe I have a fear of injustice. And I know there's that kind of, that stirs something up in me. So whenever there's a feeling of oppression or something, that's why I think I'm really attracted to movies that show people that break themselves out of injustice and the bondage of government and things like Soylent Green, Logan's Run, Blade Runner. They're always ones that kind of people are kind of fallen into this way of living, and then it's become the new normal. And then there's people that go, excuse me, this doesn't look really healthy. So I feel like I'm kind of in that, and maybe you are too. Maybe we're on the opposite side of the fence and you feel the same way. And that's all a possibility. True healing is integration of past traumas, of which we all have, which, again, for me, maybe it's disempowerment, injustice, oppression. So now in this life, I'm healing and integrating that. And so that's to me is it's so strong, is that if we all realize that we're all kind of healing and integrating our own themes that are special to us, it doesn't matter when someone comes up with, something that is, oh, this is the truth. This is the truth. It doesn't matter to them. If they are going through their own process, their own karmic path, their own way to God through integrating and healing their own traumas of the past parallel lives, then who are you or I to go in there and say, yeah, but this is the truth? Maybe this is something that they actually need to work out. That one's just, it's like a V8 slap on the head. Healing comes into understanding that there's always a deeper awareness to discover, a deeper expansion of self. What feeling is this bringing up within us? So when I look at what's going on in the world, if I can get stuck in the details and the studies and the research and all that, and my case is very strong, but then I lose sight of what it's really bringing up in me, and that's really the most important thing. And I like to relate this to having a dream. It's not so much the details and what color things were and how come they did it this way. It's the feeling that I have in the dream. And if I take myself out of this dream reality and I go, okay, what was the feeling that I had? Yeah, but he made this law 2792 that said this and that. No, what was the feeling of that law? What was the feeling that you had in the dream? And that's the real important part to me. It is about the unintegrated reaction or trauma that we still carry. What am I feeling with the possibility of mandatory vaccinations? Well, I feel disempowered. I feel injustice. I feel lack of autonomy. I feel that there's untrue information that's being used to prop up this thing. And so if I look at myself, I say it's not about what's happening right now. It's about something in me that's a sensitive area in me. And someone could really show me the truth about how wrong my thinking is. For me, I'm still working out something that has nothing to do with what's happening right now. This part is just kind of blows me away even talking about it. So, and what would the others feel who are, so let's say they're on the other end of it, that they're pro-vaccination and that everybody on the planet, 8 billion people, must get vaccinated. And so we can all live, which, all right, don't get me started. Maybe it's obligation. Maybe it's social pressure. Maybe it's to be a good citizen or a good person. Maybe there's a sensitivity in there that there's this desire to be a good citizen, to do what's right for humanity in their eyes. Maybe it's that they've lived their life through guilt and obligation, and maybe that just fits right into there. Maybe there's something that they're still playing out. Maybe they're saying yes, and then they felt the obligation of that, and then there's something that's being integrated there. I have no idea. But to think about that, this way is right and this way is wrong, we're already getting lost in it. And I get it lost in it too when I say my position is the right way. So I'm as much a victim of that too. All right. What to do? What to do? Well, if you know me, my kind of my theme is about empowerment. So one of the ways towards more empowerment is through feeling. And I know that if you ever look in any science fiction movies that are about oppression and suppressing people, one of the things that gets suppressed is feeling. And what's The Giver, I think it was called. They used to go outside their home just before they went outside their home, they pricked their hand with a medicine that took away any view of color and emotions, all for the benefit of society, just so that because people can be crazy. So let's just take that away. So that's just one way that we can do that, is to go back into feeling what is exciting to us. And again, I've had teachers that have really shared with me, really follow your feeling, follow your heart, follow what's exciting to you. And that's really worked for me. And if you know me even more, then you would know that sometimes I do things the hard way. Sometimes I do things the quote wrong way, but it's the way for me. And I can't explain it very much, but so I have a saying that really helps me, is that may be true. What you're saying to me, this truth about this thing, that may be true. And yet this is where I stand. And I think if we really got better at, if I got better at saying that may be true. And yet this is where I stand. Wow, that feels so empowering, that someone would be just coming at me with data and research and truth and everything, and still there's something inside of me that feels not quite in alignment with that. So I could say that may be true, and yet this is where I stand. And for now, and so I would add on that for now, because I could change. I could have a different perspective about that. Another way for us to unify each other, besides our own sovereignty, our own self-determination, our own self-government, and to having allowing and embracing everyone's opinions and differences and perspectives is music. A profound way to unify us is through the music that we love. So music seems to be the common denomination that brings us all together. Music cuts through all boundaries and goes right to the soul. And that's what Willie Nelson says. And he's got some pretty profound things to say. Another thing that I want to share is something from Ram Dass. And he said, we are all just walking each other home. And that one is, well, that one, if we could just kind of expand our consciousness a little bit just for this moment. If you could imagine, like I was saying, that you're on a sliver of reality, a sliver of your own perspective. And that in your perspective, in your sliver of reality, everyone is here for you. It doesn't matter what everyone else is doing, but everyone in this sliver, this tiny little sliver of reality that I see, that my view is, everyone is here to love and support me. Not my egoic self, but my soul's evolution. And this sliver right here, that if you can even imagine that we have all gathered together, all of us in this sliver of reality, in this frequency. Before this started, we all gathered together and say, okay, Daniel, no matter how I show up, I love you, and I'm doing this because I support you in your evolution. So the people that are the worst jerks or assholes to you, they're also here to love and support you, because they're here to teach you about compassion or unconditional love or standing in your truth or whatever the thing is. So if I stand in that, then I go, wow, we are all just walking each other home. So just something to ponder. In your reality, everyone is here to love and support you, your karma, your path. All paths lead to the same place of no place but awareness. Let me say that again, because that one sounded really good. In your reality, everyone is here to love and support you, your karma, your path. All paths lead to the same place of no place but awareness. So on the last part of this, I would just say, let's start a dialogue of unity instead of separation. And to ask ourselves, what are we being nudged to do or exist in? If we can all pull back and say, hold on a second, we're being launched into this fight, fight, fight. What do we really want to do? What do we really want to experience outside of this is happening or that is happening or this virus or that election, all the goings on of the world? Outside of that, what do we really want? And let's focus on that. So I'm open to starting a dialogue of that, and I've got something cooking in the background that will help support that. And it's all about unity and sovereignty. Thank you so much for listening. Bless you. Thank you. I love you. And we'll hear you and speak to you next time. Bye.